Hello and welcome to Gwent and to patch notes. Finally! It's actually live on the PTR, you can play it, the new patch, and great. And until February 5th, it's gonna stay on the PTR, but after that it's gonna go live and it's gonna be great. Overall, I would say it's good, but with some buts. And I'm planning to make this video as short as possible, but as long as it needs to be. So let's just get started. First of all, they changed spies. First of all, they just have long names back, and I suppose this could be a concern for some like mobile users in the future. But for now, why not just have all the lore? I don't know how they're gonna do it in the future, but it doesn't matter right now. It's cool. We can have the long names. It's cool, so just have it. Saver spies, I don't like the solution. They made it a thing that spies cannot be created, cannot be decoyed, cannot be copied, but ultimately the spies are a problem. Like you can still go into the situation that the second player throws you a spy and like, wow, did I just lose the game? Many times the answer is yes. If you cannot answer back with your own spy. And if there was like a very good silver unit, you don't fix it by getting it out of the create list, can be decoyed, and cannot be copied. Aren't you supposed to just fix the silver unit? Because this still makes the silver spies auto-include. So, that's that. I'm hoping that they're gonna come up with a real solution in the future, but now this is gonna make them a little bit less common. And I would argue actually the silver spy problem wasn't even that bad last patch as it could have been, because many of the decks have identical win conditions. They all try to finish the game, have the most points possible at the end. And if controlling the game is damn important, like for example with a value generating deck, then spies are even more important because it give you control of they give you control of the game. So yeah, I don't think this is the last time we heard of spies. But let's just go with the card changes. I'm not gonna go over the name changes, as cool as they may be. So you know what, from 25 to 22, fair enough, going in the right direction. Looks about right. How about the Sage? It's kind of a fun card, doesn't really matter, definitely going in the right direction. Yennefer Conjurer, again, going in the right direction. Halo Dancer, same thing, this is about right. So, but you're not gonna see this, like these are not crazy. I don't think we gotta see Yennefer Conjurer even in the X-Men deck. I don't think we're gonna see Ale of the Ancestor outside of the Mahaka Marauder deck. So this is kind of okay, so maybe the Yennefer Conjurer is more of a love, but I don't mind just giving a card like +1 and just say like, hey, anything happens, because it's just going in the right direction. Commander's Horn, now that's a bloody murder. It went from 20 to 15, and Commander Horn used to be like a 20 even in the closed beta, but of course units were rule locked, now they are agile, but the silver strength went up significantly as well, silver power level. So I would say this is justified, but not to this extent. This is like a complete murder. At very least I would like to see the middle unit get additional +2 boost, so it becomes more like a 17. So that's about it, because I don't see this getting used even in the Marauder deck, because even the Marauder deck would want to use booze, and you don't want to put units on a unit on a row with booze. You would just want the Marauders there. So Commander's Horn, rest in peace, I suppose. Phil of Andrel, 3 to 4. Thing is, Phil of Andrel is just straight up worse than 8 name. They also made Commander's Horn worse. So I don't get it. Like Phil of Andrel would need to be at least a 6. It's going in the right direction, but for now it's just like forget about it. Actually, I think we missed one. Actually, we missed 2. Stamina for Tremor doesn't spawn unless the Golems anymore. It used to be Guardian that actually made the spell usable outside the Italy's scoia'tael, and actually the Tremor just sucks. The current version we got that spawns a Lesser Golem sucks. The only reason it's actually used is because of Italy. Italy is good because the bronze power level is like, give or take, like 12, silver is like 15, gold is like 18. And if you just add this together, like just say like Italy played units instead, then it would be like, I don't know, let's just say like half F Hunter twice. Then you get like 24 plus 2. You get 26 for Italy. What does this mean? Does this mean that the half F Hunter is like ridiculously awesome? Oh my god, we gotta nerf that thing. No, it means that playing 2 bronzes is damn good. Because the golds are, give or take, like 50% better than the bronzes. And if you got a gold that just like plus 2 bronzes, yeah, that's good. Even if these spells are subpar. Because I do believe that the Tremors is just subpar in a game where you can just, well, you can easily get more value, more reliably. So this is a bad change for sure. The player lost the organic tag, so the herbalist cannot resurrect, cannot play it anymore. That was a 3+ play card. I don't know. Like this kind of makes it a like completely useless card. I wouldn't really mind to see at least a bronze +1, so it's like maybe playable. But for now, like who cares? Your vet 76, 68. I mean 78. So it's a 6/8 now. So it's more likely that it can actually kill something, but it's a pretty minor change. Your with meditation throws 2 enemies on the same road to duel. So you wanna kind of play him in a movement deck. This not only slows him down because you gotta have a movement that actually costs something, but also you gotta have the movement card in your hand. But also you can just make a unit attack the last unit your opponent plays because you don't know. He's just gonna put it on some other row. This might just make him like an auto include in the movement decks. Like your meditation is just damn strong, but this could easily make him just a card that you don't see in outside of movement. So we'll see. I suppose movement needs some kind of a love. We'll see. Because like moving your opponent units costs like at least 2 points. And also this slows him down by 1 turn. So we'll see if this is gonna be enough. The fact that it's like 1 turn slower, that shouldn't be underestimated. Because if your opponent, for example, like has like 2 big units and he just plays them like one before last and last, then you can't really shut him down easily. Anyway, a glaze is an 8 and now banishes the played special card. This could be objectively considered a buff in some cases because you actually get rid of the card, and getting rid of the cards, making sure that it doesn't end up in their graveyard, is really hard to do. Like when you're dealing with units, you wanna like Jade or like Charm it. That's basically it. When it comes to spells, that's basically on. It's not really a thing. Only Eglaze does it. And even if you like find the bronze or silver, she's great. So like she's worth it. She's only not worth it if they're not running spells. So that's the only scenario. Yarp and Zigrin went to 7 to 8. No one used Yarp and Zigrin, so I suppose this is fair enough. Moran become a. I shouldn't say like what it was, just say like what it became. Become an 8/7. Problem with Moran is that you play a unit, it does its thing, then you hit it. So for example, if your opponent plays a Vicovaro medic, and you just like do like 8+1 on the Vicovaro, yeah, you really did it. Like, I suppose if you're like kill something that would get further value, it's great. But if you're just hitting something like big, or you're just wasting your damage, or the unit would not get further value, she just sucks. So, don't really see it. The whole point of Moran was that she triggered before. That means like you didn't want to play like a Vicovaro into it, because she would be like an 8 plus deny the effects, and that's just crazy. But without that, she's just gonna suck. Anyway, Dwarven Agitator. from 2 to 1, Elven Scout 2 to 1. I personally believe the Agitator is just a better one. Elven Scout is okay, so this is gonna be like a guaranteed 13-ish, and it's gonna be like more like a 12-ish. I know like people complained about or just argued that like, oh, Elven Scout is crazy. Well, it's good. It has a lot of versatility, but it's not as good as always playing 12s. Mahakam Guard. So became a 4/7, and the funny thing is, I don't think people really played that. It's a 12 that requires you to have a unit on the board. Now became a 4/7. I don't see anyone playing this. Even the decks with Farseers in them, so it just became a complete trash. And no one played this because everyone played Skirmishers that now boost themselves instead of strengthen, which is just... Really? That's not a nerf to Skirmisher. If anything, that's just the nerf to Poly. That's it. Skirmishers are still amazing. Dwarven Mercenary, it's a 8/3. That doesn't really matter. Like, how much you're boosting by really doesn't matter. I guess it only really matters is because if you wanna move your opponents with it. So you're wasting less of that boost. It's gonna cost you 3, not 4. So him went from 4 to 3. Okay, this time you even... Yeah, you kind of want to play silvers with him, but if it doesn't work out, you play a bronze. Like, I don't know if this was justified. Like, okay, you did that. Is this really justified? I'm actually not super convinced about all of these. Ulfhedin, like, sure. Wasn't a big deal. Greatsword, 7 to 8. The thing is, like, Greatsword is a card that I don't think it's ever gonna be a big thing because, like, it gets like muzzled, transformed, whatever. In a way, it's like value generator slash finisher. So it's a unique card, but like it can never be too represented on the ladder because the counters are just really there, and it's never gonna be a thing. Hey, Scald and Flaminica, sure, why not? This might actually help out the Greatsword. So like, when you get moved around, it's gonna hurt less. I'm not so sure about the Skull though. That might just not be enough. Shani from 5 to 4. That's actually fair enough because you want to resurrect, so that basically makes Shani a silver +4. And Caretaker is basically just a worse version of Shani. Like, actually you kind of want to play Caretaker with Iris every single time, so actually you have a guaranteed good target in there. At least likely a good target in there, because you could just have some trash in there. And Shani was always better than Caretaker. If anything, I would like to see a change that Caretaker goes from 4 to 5 and Shani goes to 4. I think that's fair enough because you gotta have something in the graveyard that's dead. And if you don't have that, then Shani's not that good. Or could be actually dead, but that's pretty unlikely. A little bit of a buff to Selkirk. That's fair enough. I think this could even make him like a good generalist choice. He was actually close to it, even before. Anyway, Vests, 11 to 12. The problem is that in the Foltest deck, you kind of want the guy that sucks. I don't know how he's called. Do you have his name? The Vampire. I don't know. Like, do you really want Vest in any other deck than Foltest? And if you're running a Foltest deck, do you really want Vest? I don't know. Not so much if you're like getting out the Vampire guy with Altus Double Cross and you're running a low deck. But I suppose it could be okay. I just feel like yeah, you have Vest. Could make sense in a Foltest deck. But I think this is a fine buff. But you need to have, I don't know, maybe tactics should be changed. So you can play any card. At very least, that would be just fair. Reaver Hunter from 5 to 6, so this basically makes the Reaver Hunters, assuming you drop them on the same turn, like the 7, 9, 12. which is just not worth bothering with. But if you like copy them once, it's gonna be more like the last one you're gonna drop is more like gonna be a makes every single one of the 16. That's not really good enough. You're just dropping 16s as a finisher, and you might just play a Reaver Hunter and it dies, and yeah. So why bother with it? This doesn't really make sense unless you can like also copy a Reaver Hunter, or I don't know. If you do that, you're just gonna play like 21, but I think this is just too awkward. Field Medic, a big buff, but we'll see if it's gonna see use. Forces two adjacent enemies to duel. Very interesting card. Like, at first look it might seem like it's a little bit like meditation, but no. Because adjacent enemies. Wow. You like, how do you set this up? Your opponent needs to make a mistake. I don't know. Even if you're just like throwing a Cantarella next to a big dude, your opponent might just play something in between them. So I would say this is a card that can really catch lazy and beginner players off guard and punish them. But this is gonna be useless against the more experienced players. But actually, I like cards like this because even if you just say like, there's no chance in hell my opponent has this, you gotta still place your cards in a way that, you know, maybe this is in play. Maybe I gotta consider that. Especially if it can be in the crate list, you know, it could always come up. And that just kind of prevents you from being too lazy. And I think we kind of need that. That, you know, instead of like, oh, whatever, just go card, I'm putting the cards on the board, like, I don't have to think about this shit. And, yeah, I think we need cards that, like, interact with the positioning and, like, how many units you have, like, whatever. At least you're just putting in some thought when you're putting down the units. Slave Driver 2-1, I think this is the weakest one among these Elven Scout, Marauder trio. I just call them a trio. Unless you actually get an Elven Scout or a Vikovara or something that just gets at further units. Else, just Straight Driver is just the least reliable. So we will see. Slave Infantry, copies are not doomed. Well, the thing is, that's kind of how you want it to win, right? First of all, I would say that Slave Infantry sucked, and any kind of deck with it sucked. So what's the idea here? Is that you play a bunch of slave infantries, you swarm the board, and you buff them all up. And that's it, right? And you kind of try to force a win that to have like a reasonably long round 3 as well, where you can kind of pull off the same thing. Because it's not really a finisher deck. You gotta have like at least a medium length round to pull off your win condition. And now that they are doomed, you cannot resurrect them with ointment, so you can pull it off once. Is that good enough? I just don't see it. Of course, if it just goes like pass first turns, like first turn and second turn, like, oh yeah, you can do the slave infantry, but how do you set up your win condition? I just don't see how. They also nerfed the ointment, so it no longer heals, only resurrects. Many times you do that, but sometimes you did the plan B, the healing. If you had nothing else to do, you can forget about that now. And this is a very situational heal, very situational resurrect that also doesn't give you any bonus points on top. So, okay. Rotister 7-8. The fact that everything is agile now, does this even matter? I don't know. Like, Rotister went from being a really good card in the closed beta to completely unplayable in the open beta. So, I don't see this. I don't think this is good enough. First card we should talk about here is that Monster Nest doesn't boost anymore. So basically the silvers are bronze plus 3, and they made Monster Nest just bronze with some flexibility. And you very rarely chose other cards. Many times it was the same bronze plus 3 from the Monster Nest that you can actually use in multiple archetypes. But now that's not gonna be a thing, and sometimes you actually picked some other cards. Not like, for example, you might have wanted the Foglet, but sometimes you chose a Ghoul, and that's basically the extent of it. And you can't forget about that now. So basically it became a trash card. I could see it maybe as a +2, but like this is not gonna be used. And Whispering Hillock got bumped by 1, but the main card that was actually decent, Monster Nest, is just no longer in play. So this is actually a nerf to Whispering Hillock, and the organic cards just kind of suck. They even like took out Mr. Potato Doppler as an organic. I don't really see that. The organic cards are pretty bad. If anything, the spells and special cards are mostly pretty damn bad. They actually nerfed Tremors. Wow. Anyway, honestly, now they're 4 to 5. Yeah, I agree with that. But also, it's kind of like a situational leader. The problem with Unseen Elder, in my opinion, is that, like, I don't know, maybe he's gonna be the leader of one archetype in the future, but ultimately he's a leader you play, maybe you consider playing, when the opponents are running big dudes. If they are not doing that, Unseen Elder makes no sense. So that's about it. So, and this 1 point is not gonna change too much of that. Golds. Scarantir are final, 8 to 9. Fair enough, he also has 1 movement. He's closer to being correct right now. The big keg is like a 10, so he's a 9 with movement. So like, okay, I see it. Like, okay, that's a little bit of buff to Wild Hunt. Karen, it's a 5 plus 7, potentially 18. Like, most likely that's what you want. 19 points, that's pretty damn good. So, good card, I suppose. A little bit of buff to consume. Not really sure what triggered this change. We'll see. I suppose he can eat more. But I guess we're just gonna see. Striga, 5 to 6. I don't think this is gonna make Striga quite as good, and Relic deck is... we're gonna see, because of course some archetypes got nerfed a little bit, but is this good enough to make the Relic deck a thing? Or this like 1 power change? Does it really matter? I would argue not so much. Neutral, it's a 5 plus 5 plus extra damage based on the amount of Wild Hunt units you have in hand. Wow. So not only you gotta like go all in Wild Hunt, but let's just say you have like 5 Wild Hunt units in your hand extra, and your opponent has a 10 strength dude, because you gotta have that, and then he's a 15. And that's still pretty damn bad. Like, just considering for the setup. And if you just get this later, it's trash. It's probably gonna lose you the game. Like, Nitra is basically only good first round. Oh no, it's only good first half of the first round. If your opponent plays something big, then you can play him for potential advantage, but most likely it's just kind of like break-even-ish. So garbage, or I don't know. It's kind of like the new Cleaver, right? It's basically like a new Cleaver. Yeah, he's basically like Cleaver. But he has a lower ceiling and higher floor. So, but basically, yeah, he's a Cleaver. I don't know, it's kind of like a, maybe, like, he's like a better Cleaver. A little bit. But he's basically Cleaver. Morwood 5 to 6, this doesn't really, well, fine. But the thing is, like, you kind of want Morwood, like, his base power is pretty low, so you kind of want Morwood when your opponents are running big dudes and stuff you want to lock. And if you're just like hitting something that's just weak and you want to lock it, like, it's gotta be one hell of a lock. So And if you're just hunting big dudes, why not just take a Scorch? So it's a bit of a weird card. Because you rarely see very big cards that you want to lock. So what are those cards? And that's basically what Morwood is hunting for. If read 7 to 8 doesn't matter too much. Actually, no one's gonna care about this. Vault Hunt Drakkar effect is no longer aura, no persistent effect on deploy, and when Vault Hunt ally is played. Okay. That's actually a big one because unlike everybody else, I actually played those ships because I'm a hipster. I'm god of all the hipsters, by the way. And the ships, under the right circumstances, provided okay value. If they didn't get murdered, and you just ran a full-on Vault Hunt deck. So this could be good, but of course you gotta push for the first round, play your Drakkar, play like 1 or 2 Drakkars, and you gotta set up some kind of a long round 3 as well. But yeah, Drakkar might just be okay. But of course you gotta commit to like Vault Hunt like 100%. You gotta go with all the Vault Hunt dudes just to make Drakkar okay. Slizzard 3-2, I totally agree with that. Maybe they could actually jump him to 1. You gotta have an additional card in your deck. That's true. So it's not as good as the Marauder, but it does have some consume synergy. So I don't know. I wouldn't even say that it's crazy to drop this to 1, but sure, 2 is definitely closer to being right. Lamia. Wow. Now let's talk about Blood Moon. So the Bridge Troll is stronger now. The thing is, like, now Lamia has a 6+4 now, and a 6+7 if you're hitting a unit under Blood Moon. Plus we got a cat that no one knows the name of. The problem with Blood Moon that your opponent doesn't start the game with like, I don't know, like 7 units on all the rows. That's not how it works. He's just gonna play like 1 unit, maybe not play a unit, then play a 1 unit again. Then like in like 3 turns, he has 1 unit on every single row. And like, how are you gonna make that work? I just say like, turn 5 you're gonna Bridge Troll and move the Blood Moon to like 2 units. Right, then you gotta play Lamia for 13. But you also had to commit to the Blood Moon. So this makes more sense as a finisher in a way, if you're just trying to. But you gotta have like the Sirens in with the Blood Moon, but you also gotta have something early on. And I don't see it. Maybe it would make more sense. No, it doesn't work with the fog because you would override the fog, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't get it. Maybe they are really onto something, but I don't know. It is just terrible. I don't see how it's ever gonna be good. Because you would need to have a deck that does something early on and uses some kind of a Blood Moon Bridge Troll Lamia finisher. But keep in mind, the Blood Moon in the first place is something that punishes big rows. So what is your opponent gonna do? Like set up like 2 times 7 guys in 2 rows and just gonna laugh at you? Most likely you're gonna run into some opponent who's like gonna have like 2 units one row, 3 units the other row, 3 units the other row. And Bridge Troll can get some value from it. But like Lamia is kind of the, like, it just kills units in the row. I don't know. I just feel like so much time need to pass for the Blood Moon to even become like an option. Like I would say like 4, 5, 6, probably at 6 turns it starts like, oh, maybe I can play a Blood Moon. And then you can play Lamia, then you can play Bridge Trolls. Or maybe you play the Blood Moon early on, and then you play the Bridge Troll. I don't know. It's tough. I'm open to seeing that, definitely. Maybe some genius can figure that out. for now, yeah, decent exchanges. I suppose they're still working on it, and I guess it's nice to see just anything happen. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.